I'm bringing a video to all of you so you can have a bit of an understanding of how work comp works. In essence, it doesn't work. If you think that UnitedHealth Group is there for your health, they are not. They neglected my health as an employee and member. I wanted to tell you of the horrific damages I sustained while working at UnitedHealth Group. The building that I was in was a building that was desolate. There was no one occupying any of the other floors that we were on. We were waiting for a new building to be built. And in this building, we occupied just a small portion of one of the floors. I was a newly hired employee at UnitedHealth Group, and I had a cube next to another person by the name of Kay Isaacson. A person by the name of P.J. McCloskey had her cubicle that was on the other side of Kay Isaacson. P.J. McCloskey came up to me and asked me a question. She was standing to the left of me, and while she was asking me the question, I was locked in to my cube desk with the arms that were snug underneath the actual desk. So I was immobile. PJ began to ask me a question, and instead I did not answer it to her liking, and she began to hit me in the head. She hit me more than once in the head, and fluid came pouring out of my left ear. A person can determine what pouring is. I'm using that term to best describe how it felt. When she hit me in the head, I was distraught. I didn't know where I was. I did not know what was happening to me. I was dizzy. I wanted to defend myself, and if I had defended myself, she wouldn't be here today, because the pain was so bad, I would have been the one in jail. I went to my supervisor, Ken Jaslow, and he basically did nothing about it. He told me to go to HR. I had the fluid in my hand, and he did not even care. He basically told me just to get involved with HR, and I did so. At that point, I wanted to call the police, and he asked that I did not call the police. Therefore, my rights were violated. I should have been able to call the police and have them arrest her, and I couldn't do either. He said there would be no police at this setting, at our environment of where we work. Then things began to get worse with my hearing. As time went on, I went to doctors and saw Dr. Papalera at Papalera Head and Neck Institute. And I did decide to go ahead and talk to an attorney, and I hired David Blazer. They hired Mary Hager, which was the first attorney that UnitedHealth Group had. My attorney didn't do his job by doing a deposition of of P.J. McCloskey. Many dealings David Blazer did was without my knowledge. Later, I received an anonymous phone call stating that David Blazer is helping Mary Hager's side and being paid to do so. This didn't surprise me, as he scheduled a hearing with his buddy, Judge Dan P. Kelly, without my knowledge. I had this Judge Kelly removed because of the conflict of interest, and David Blazer stated, Judge Kelly is a friend of mine. We grew up together and smoked cigars together at a place in St. Paul, and because of that, I feel comfortable we will win the case, and don't tell anyone. David Blazer and Mary Hager should have been sanctioned, along with the newly hired attorney, Mr. Kuseth, as Mary Hager was fired from the case. UnitedHealth fired Mary Hager. At the hearing, we're going to discuss that. This is a brief synopsis of what is in my blog. Later on, Mr. Kuseth committed fraud, tampering with the evidence, including but not limited to the paperwork presented at the hearing, some manufactured, and having his witnesses lie during their testimony. When I asked Mr. Kuseth for Miss P.J. McCloskey's address, he would not provide this, even though the judge demanded he would find her address. Mr. Kuseth misrepresented himself, deceptive, completed and utterly lied during the hearing, and coerced his witnesses to do this as well. Mr. Kuseth defamed my character, and I was trying to represent myself. My pain during the hearing, and this is with no attorney that I had for help, because David Blazer was out because of his lies. Mr. Kuseth defamed my character, and I was trying to represent myself. My pain during the hearing was so great that I had taken muscle relaxers and prescribed tramadol as well. The hearing lasted 2 days, and I had no attorney for help. I could not afford all my doctors to come to the hearing. One of my doctors showed up and explained the blow to the head was a cause of the injury sustained as a result of P.J. McCloskey. I'm going to talk about the witnesses that did come to the hearing. On Kuseth's UnitedHealth Group side, Barry Young was one of his witnesses. He's an IT manager at UnitedHealth Group. He didn't even know what a subdirectory was. I knew from the beginning of questioning Barry that he was going to lie, but I was going to continue to ask the same questions until he told the damn truth. I asked Mr. Young, can an email be changed while working as an employee at UnitedHealth Group? And he said yes. He lied right in front of the court judge as well. What this document that I'm talking about is an apology letter that P.J. McCloskey sent to me right after she had hit me in the head. I presented the apology. Let me back up a bit. I presented the apology email to Barry, and I said, you are telling me that the date stamp and the formatting of this email, the actual email that PJ sent me, could be changed, etc. After asking the same question, Barry finally stated that the email could not be changed, and in his own words stated that P.J. McCloskey's email was valid. At this moment, Judge Tate and Kuseth were staring at each other for at least 2 minutes. Kuseth was a redhead and fair-skinned. I never saw a man match the color of his hair before. I asked the judge to hold Mr. Kuseth liable, to sanction him, and hold him in contempt of court. It was difficult to push for these things because I'm not an attorney. One might think, by the way, that they both were staring at each other, maybe something was going on between the two of them outside of work. Judge Tate asked that the hearing continue. Ken Jaslow, my boss, was the next witness. Testimony was given video conference as he was asked to leave UnitedHealth Group, and Ken did and moved to Seattle. Many questions were asked of Ken Jaslow via Mr. Kuseth. I knew at that moment it was all rehearsed. I asked my questions, and Ken even denied an email I sent him advising him the status of the doctor appointments. Because I reported to Ken Jaslow, I had to keep him up to date of everything, not just the workload. When I told Ken about PJ hitting me, he was so involved in his work, he didn't take the time to help me. I had fluid in my hand, I'm reiterating that, and Ken saw me holding my hand with fluid in my hand from my ear. Ken denied I told him about it. I told Ken I wanted to call the police, and Ken stated absolutely no police, Diane, at our place of business. This was stated in the courtroom. My rights were taken away from me. Many discussions were about the incident And in some of the recordings, several recordings I did in many meetings that were held with Ken Jaslow and several other people, I discussed the blow to the head with Ken Jaslow. Approximately 8 to 10 recordings were provided to Judge Tate. Ken perjured himself and should be held liable and contempt of court. And basically, Ken Jaslow is a pathetic liar, and he was a director of UnitedHealth Group of NCQA. Lorraine Nichols reported to Ken Jaslow. She soon became my boss. My second boss, she did the dirty work for Ken Jaslow. Lorraine Nichols, I'm talking about. I reported to Lorraine upon my return to work after the first surgery to my left head ear repair as a result of the blow to my head. Lorraine denied any blow to my head, even though it was discussed throughout the office. Because of complaining to HR, etc., I was being set up for failure from Lorraine. Kay Isaacson, my same level co-worker. Kay Isaacson was also a good friend of mine at the time of working at UnitedHealth Group. Kay Isaacson started a fight with Lorraine about how Lorraine was treating me. It became literally a yelling match. Kay Isaacson looked at Lorraine and said, "What are you doing to this girl? Stop harassing her. Leave her alone. You've done enough damage to this girl." She kept yelling at her. My breathing got so bad I could hardly breathe. I sat at my desk. I didn't know what to do other than my blood pressure was rising. At that point, I was out of control where I could not stop my heartbeat racing so hard. And then I went into a hypertensive crisis similar to a heart attack. Lorraine denied this argument in court, even though I went into hypertensive crisis near heart attack. And the ambulance came and brought me to the hospital. I was put on leave at that time via Dr. Benson for 3 months. And please note this, Alan Sokolow, he was the Chief Medical Director and CEO of all UnitedHealth Group, requested copies of all of my tape recordings and later was fired for doing so. Kay Isaacson, co-worker, witnessed and was later questioned. Kay Isaacson was nearing 60 years old and was paid off and put into early retirement and was told not to discuss anything ever. And this is all a brief synopsis of what is in my blog. A conclusion I want to bring to you. I paid separate premium for workman's comp insurance, and my rights in more ways than one were denied. My premiums were paid to Sedgwick out of every paycheck. Sedgwick employees are trained to solely deny all claims because they want to see who's first going to take the time to fight or not. The other reasons, most importantly, look up Sedgwick on YouTube, please. Look up Sedgwick, S-E-D-G-W-I-C-K, on YouTube, of an attorney that's doing investigations through Dell and Schaefer Law Firm in New York. That's Dell, D-E-L-L, and Schaefer, S-C-H-A-E-F-E-R. They're located in New York. Or just search Sedgwick. You will be able to find many things said against Sedgwick. I lost my home. I didn't even know who I was anymore. I felt like my life was over. And I felt like my body was dying, literally, withering away. And this is shortly after I was fired in 2009. I fought to keep going because of my 2 kids. I wasn't good at acting, and I had to go on many medications, which I never was on prior to the blow to my head. I lost my ability to work again, but my kids kept on me to keep going. Most of the time I wanted to die. That's all I could think of. I got in touch with people at church because my thoughts were not normal. I had visual distortions at the time of the blow to my head, and the dizziness and hearing got even worse over time. Now I am almost deaf in my left ear. I'm declaring what UnitedHealth did and the trial as a mistrial. And at the time of the depositions and the hearing, I wasn't able to handle the case on my own, and plus with the attorney that I had that was paid off to push the time frame of the case out to result in the statute of limitations to occur. David Blazer played me for a fool. But David Blazer, you will be the fool, and so will UnitedHealth Group, Ken Jaslow, Lorraine Nichols, and whoever else was involved at wrecking my life. You ruined my life, all of you did, but you will pay for it. And this, I'm going to explain how. Also, currently, I had several surgeries, 2 head surgeries, rotator cuff surgery, back surgery, and I suffer now chronic pain syndrome and PTSD as a result, and many other issues. My teeth are all cracked currently, and they've been septic on more than one occasion. I've already had 1 tooth pulled because it hurt so bad that it got infected. Most of them will get infected, and if the infection spreads from the artery, which will then cause the issue to go spread to my heart, and it will kill me. And then UnitedHealth will take my children's mother away. I have everything in my blog that shows much more detail and proof. I didn't just make this video for myself, but I'm reaching out to all of you that have been burned with regards to work comp. I'm writing a book, and I would like to include all of you that would like to share what happened to you with regards to workman's comp, how badly you were hurt and denied. My blog name is, and I will read it the way it is stated on the blog. When you go into the HTTP, that can also be a search area. It's called sexandabuseatwork.blogspot.com/. And I'm just going to spell out each letter. SEX and AND abuse ABUSE at work WORK dot blog blogspot.com, and then a / sexandabuseatwork.blogspot.com. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from those that are interested to share their story. Anyone else sharing negative thoughts with regards to what I have experienced, please keep them to yourself, as I have suffered enough. Thank you.